Alright guys, listen, I tried to disassemble this from the complete screw by screw, but the camera shut off after a while, so I lost it. So what I'm going to do here is kind of like, I've already disassembled it, and I'll just go through it real quick to give you an idea. Now on the buttstock here, you have a few screws. Then the screw holes are there. It's a Phillips, and that's going to be screwed onto the back of the butt. Alright, on the stock. You're going to have to take that off because inside on this one there's an 11mm bolt in there that you have to loosen in order to remove the stock from the rest of the firearm. Now on the front side, what you're going to want to do is there's a screw right here, which is this one. Alright, that you're going to loosen up and take out, and that's going to let that move a little bit because you got to back this off. Alright, by having it forward, it's locking in there against the barrel and holding things in place. A little pin locks in there by me tightening, or in this case loosening. So by me bringing this back, it breaks that away from there, because once you get that off and you have this to the rear, you'll be able to take the barrel and kind of just turn it and remove it. Alright, nice and simple. It's a little thread on, but it also has a latch on. Now putting it back on too is the same. You got to make sure that the forearm is back, otherwise there's a pin inside that'll stop you from turning this and getting it in place. And there's the barrel. The barrel is off. Alright. And then if you take this off, which you should, if you're going to paint this or anything, there's a spring in here. Alright. So this is your yeah, you know what it is. I'm lost for words today, but that's what that is. And there's a spring in there naturally to keep pressure on the slugs so that they will feed. Magazine, that's a good word for it. Alright, and by taking this off, you can also get this off as well. Now this will open a little bit, just a little bit, by sticking a screwdriver in between the slot right there and open it up so it'll come off without scratching the magazine. Now that that's all off, we'll go up here. Now up here you have, like I say, you have a little screw, alright, which goes right in that little hole there. That's a set screw. That's going to be the first one out and the last one in. This one is the actual screw that holds in part of the action. So that'll screw down in there first, alright, and then this screws in to lock this screw in place. It's a lock screw. You can see those little round indentations? Well, the head of that screw kind of like stops that from turning. Then on the bottom section here, the bottom one threads in from the other side. You have your longer one, and that holds your trigger mechanism in place. Now that little set of screws, you have one of those on both sides. And why that is because this little ejector rod here, so to speak, has a little hole in it. See it coming into play? There it is. And that's what that screw holds in. So the larger of the two hold that in, the smaller of the two hold the larger screw in place and stops it from coming loose. And that's kind of how that works. And then the longer one will go through from the other side on the lower, and that holds the trigger in place. Now, when you're doing all this, kind of pay attention so you know what's going on. It's not a big deal. It's not rocket scientist here, but at that point, you're done. So, if I can keep this camera still for now. Why I have it hanging on the front of me is because I had it in the tripod, but it keeps shutting off, and I couldn't tell when it went off or not. So, with all the screws out of it, this just slides off. That's your trigger assembly. Now with the trigger assembly, when you go to put it back on, you want to make sure that this is down. You don't want it up like that, it'll be a little bit harder. So you want to make sure that's down. Alright, and this here way to slide in, you got two slide guide rails here, and you have two here on the top, and that'll slide right in there and slide right into place. Now when you go to do that, I don't know if you can see it or not, but right here there's like a little spring. Alright, and sometimes it'll get hung up on that. Alright, in this case it didn't, but okay, there we go. Alright, so you gotta just kind of tilt this a little bit like so. Now also, right here, that little mechanism, you want to kind of hold that. If the gun was upright, hold it down towards the ground. Alright, and that'll also allow it to slide in. Alright, so with that being said, just pay attention to those two things. So, but let's take that back out of here, and we'll be all set. Alright, now, come on, be nice. There you go. Not where to go. Where to go. Okay, so anyway, I slid the trigger assembly out. Now we're going to take this thing off. Now, with that, you want to take the forearm off. Alright, so inside here, there's a little pin. You take that pin and push it to the side. Like so. Let me do it again to make sure you see it. Come on. There. And this will slide right off. Meaning the forearm will slide right off. And that won't be in the way because you've already taken that out. You pulled the spring out, put the spring aside because you're going to have to put it back in again. Again, recommend keep everything in a small container so you're not going to lose any parts. Alright. Now once this is off, this forearm is disconnected from it, you can just take this piece and slide it right out of the back of the gun. Again, that's also on a track. Alright. So with that being on a track, there's really no way that you can screw up by putting it back in there. Alright, you want it like this, because this is two parts. Alright, you want the firing pin here, and naturally the pin itself where it hits the cartridge is facing the front. And that'll slide in like so. Oops, excuse me. Like so. That's the way you assemble it. And that'll slide back in on the bottom track right here. Alright. Takes just a little finesse to get it into the track. Well, in this case, I'm doing it on film, so it's going to take a lot of finesse. Alright. Come on, be nice. Anyway, with that said, piece of shit gun, give me a hard time. I do this all the time, and now there it goes, plain and simple. Now when you're going to put this back in, see how that is hitting? There's a little piece right there that it hits, right there, and there. Just lift this up a little bit, and just put a screwdriver behind it and kind of just get behind it a little bit and just lift it up enough for that to slide by and let it go. You're in. Then when you put the forearm back in, you're going to do it the same way. Bring the forearm in. You're going to push that little piece over again so the forearm will lock, and it's there. Now I'm going to take it back out only because I got to do some touch up on this thing. And that's it. Now I recommend a dab of oil as you're reassembling this thing on all the moving parts. Now this piece here, this little pain in the ass nightmare, is always going to end up falling out on you. Now you want it to go, the camera's a pain in the ass as well today. You want it to go this way with that little tail facing the barrel. And if you look down in here, you'll see a little hole. Alright, and right there's a little pin. The little pin goes in that little hole. Alright. Yeah, try to hold the camera. There you go. The pin's in the hole, and that's where it goes, just like that there. Alright. Now that's always going to keep falling out on you, getting in the way and losing it. So make sure you pay attention to that and put it in as late as possible in the game. Alright. Otherwise it's going to just keep getting in your way. Probably just before you put the trigger in would be a good time. But that's kind of it. Alright, there's really nothing else to be said about it. It's a 14. I'm using a 14 anyway, millimeter. It seems to fit that bolt proper. There is in that bolt, there's some washers in there as well. Those washers are important to the size on how this snugs up and fits. You know, and when you do put it in, if the bolt comes out all the way, hold the stock in an upright position, so when you're putting it in there, you're not dropping the washers in the hole first and having them fall sideways, and then the bolt not fitting in all the way, and you'll sit there and be playing with this thing forever trying to figure out what you're doing. And if you're going to paint the stock, and actually take the Ithaca off. So all you're really going to need is a 11 millimeter, a small Phillips, a good Phillips though, a couple of good screwdrivers, and a little dab of oil, and it'd be nice if you have a smaller set of screwdrivers, but that's about it. You really don't need a whole lot here. Oh, there's a screw I just found. I wonder what that screw is for. Has nothing to do with this gun, so... No, I know what it is. It's for the binoculars. Alright, anyway, when I reassemble this, I'll do another video, and hopefully that'll help you. And sorry the camera shut off on the first one. But I guess this is better this way. Alright guys, catch you later. This is going to take a while to upload. And I hope it's been helpful. Now this is the way it is before it goes in. Again, this goes in like so, facing the forward part. The trigger will slide in, but we want to make sure this is down. Alright, and you may have to lift this up so that that clears that on the way in, and you may have to give it a little kick, tweak to the side to help clear that little spring right there. And other than that, like I say, a little oil, and I mean a little, on all your sliders, all your moving parts. The barrel goes in this way it came out. You do want to make sure that the slide is back, and that's after everything is assembled there. You push this back. Otherwise, there's a little pin in here that'll stop this barrel from going in play. Let me find the barrel again. Adjust the belly. Alright, you kind of put this in sideways and give it a little twist. Let's see here. Try to. Oh, where to go? Where to go? Here we go. Put it in like that. See, like that. And then we're just gonna. This is a piss poor way of doing this, but hopefully it works. And just turn it. All right. And then when you lock this forward, that'll lock into there and hold the barrel in play. All right. So it's kind of simple to take apart. Alright, like I say, I'll put it together and hopefully figure out this camera at the same time. Alright guys, good luck. Whoop, nope, 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 zoom out.